We're really excited to have Richard here reading for us. I remember when he dropped off his book, it was actually in this building, he put it down and he handed it to me, and he was super shy. He's like, I wrote a poetry book. And I was so excited to read it, it was fantastic. And since I think John read it and loved it, he read it twice. And we've just had really great conversations about it, and so I'm excited that y'all get to be part of that too. So, without further ado, your book.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so amazing to be here at Lemuria. It's a real honor and pleasure to share this space with so many of the previous writers and poets who've been here, and I feel just so lucky to be in that company now. And I'd like to thank John and Joe and Adi and really everyone affiliated with Lemuria and all of you who support this bookstore. It's one of the finest in the country, and just immense gratitude for their support and encouragement. It's great to see you all tonight. And what I want to do is sort of give a brief introductory overview of the 10 or so poems that I'll be reading from the book. One is a new poem that I'll read first. So I'll do that instead of giving kind of the explanation, anecdote between poems, so that they all kind of fall into more of a sequence rather than as separate entities. So I'm really interested with the concept of place as a very physical, geographic location, and also as kind of like this metaphysical space, much like one's imagination. And the poems that I'll be reading are primarily set in the American South, specifically Mississippi and Louisiana, and a little bit of Kentucky. And what I hope is that the individuals, the speakers, and the characters in these poems suggest something about the complex relationship that individuals have with place, particularly with urban and rural contexts. So the first poem that I'll read is called Jackson Triptych, and it happens in 3 parts. 1, Mississippi Zephyr. A stag bolts into stillness, his legs humming in the memory of flight, antler points long enough to reach stratospheres. Furious rains tongue his coat, he snorts and sloshes velocity. How did this creature arrive in this city, marching on Yazoo clay like Sherman, brown hooves slugging mud? I've been waiting for him all along to prick at my garden like a ghost who ravages the daisies. A city deer now, his bewilderment metastasizing in growing fits like a choking man gasping for breath. I lean against the porch rail of my duplex to regain my strength from the sickness of his estrangement. Rain mellows into soft flame-like licks. Flat clouds look waterless. There's a zephyr closing in on the city. We hear its cringing engine fans. My ghost has come home. 2, Midtown. Houses vacant for years, thrallings among bullet casings and empty beer tins. Debris electrifies us in the foundries and print shops, gutted homes blood-stained and ready. On Sunday, our neighbors bring meals. Children pull on the flapping skirts of mothers. Palm leaf clouds become rib cages against a full winter moon. Its gold translucently humid. Angel trumpets seduce us to twist. If there was ever a canvas big enough to please resentment, it bows tonight as a white dwarf. Skylights dazzle our skin, and I yawn like the big leaf, just about to curl from frost. 3, Farish Street exit. I'm disembarking the New Orleans to Jackson Amtrak, a baby boy on mother's lap who tugs her scooping neckline, bounces up and down as she spoons mouthfuls of Gerbers thunderously into his soft pink mouth. pews in the station for us to wait. A balding man with a younger man, new lovers in a time of crisis. Sky, Mississippi sky, a laughing heart, husky winds. Our curly mouth accents prolong a fear of water contamination. Our city pipes thrum in cold weather. Once broken, they absorb the Yazoo clay, sentiments of soft earth, and our water darkens. Home, I drink it, and my body cranks up like a forest fire, at once unclinching organ and shadow. The next three poems are prose poems, for what it's worth. If you can hear the difference between couplets and tercets and prose poems, let me know. And I said I wasn't going to say anything, but whatever. This next poem is called Cannon Bones. Gray Mississippi spring spins each tree, pollen curls from the white trunk oaks, their yellow seeds fury along the muscular canopy of big leaves, a matrix of flapping and levering. At once, I remember acorns pummeling the tool shed's tin roof, each metallic spank croaking like the full-throated and spectacularly hungry frog. In this pasture, I fastened the colt's saddle for my young daughter, who would rather ride on the blanket than the brittle leather. Without knowing, she trusts her ligaments and the colt's to keep them locked and pulled. I'm the hare running too fast, crisscrossing an avenue clogged with car traffic. But they're the gift, singular anatomies, cannon bones and fetlocks, phalanxes and skulls, orbiting this coliseum like champions. Something else I usually don't do is try to give any kind of autobiographical cues for the work that I produce, because, well, this is fiction and it is poetry and it is in the other realm of the personal, I suppose. But a little bit of what is in this poem is true in terms of, I used to live in a house in Fondren, and my neighbors in this house were Belhaven dancers. Particularly, they were ballerina students, right? And ballerinas in the dance program there. So this poem is called Corps de Ballet. In unison, they unlock their elbows to resemble fanning bird wings, and each pink breast emboldens. I see this in dusky silhouettes and shadows against the bamboo window shade. I'm in the backyard with my wife, fixing supper on a grill. The girls in the Corps de Ballet are our neighbors. I rotate corn on the cob and its husk, its water drips on charcoal, and flames pirouette up through the grate like the prima ballerina. I've taken no shortcuts with this meal, long roast for the Cornish hens and garlic and parsley based, braised portobellos and spinach souffle. The Corps de Ballet continues to rehearse in the living room of their duplex, points on dry hardwood floors and toes crinkling in slippers. I tell my wife that we're more complex than a bayou and our meal fills, but this night is strange and elegant, and this somewhere is a place still with heart trouble and invisible wrens next door. Victory Tattoo. Morning workouts at Churchill Downs, and the colts edit the track, hoofing and plunging their pin-like legs into the slop. Few spectators in the grandstand, fewer in the paddock, hold off wavy April rains. Tornado sirens beating across the county, echoing in church bells before the morning call to post. This organism challenges us to bet against it. Supple nays from clear pink lungs, fecund brown coat, trimmed silks and bridle. A storm gathers speed in the Ohio Valley, at once caramelized dews over Texas hill country. I'm chanting at them all like the monk's vesper, Go on, run, run. The jock's his goggles choked in slop, jock's thick slop breaths, whips flick drafts of wind-choked mud, silks earth-greased and racing form numbers indistinguishable. I haven't a prayer bold enough to get through. So some of these, the next poems are very short. So they're very compact and terse, I think, in a way that I'll just kind of read them very, very quickly because that's just what they want me to do. So that's what I'm going to do. Louisiana Fugue. The barber has been bankrupt since the flood. The town's bald. Men and women no longer visit since the lakes rose and stunned. Combs prostrate in disinfecting jars, once mitochondrial in his hands. Dozens of tonics on shelves multiply in lipid mirrors, refracting electric lights. The jilted shaving brush and razor's foul rust. The barber can only trim his bougainvillea's viscous petals. There has never been winter, and now only January sludge anoints, lathers and steams, lathers and steams. Horse songs. I'd like to be your dreamer, going past razor-white mountains to Mississippi. The horses sing to an open winter. Their red blood fizzes, a supernova, and knows Yazoo River. The horse sings, neighs gray vapors, and I'm never too far from you, never too far from coming toward you. Anatomy of pluck. Pluck. The Mississippi slouches through Baton Rouge, present of the present, flattening Louisiana. There's a tin roof home on the canal to Whiskey Bay, under the locomotive underpass where red steam engines haul freight. A woman in a man's white shirt that sweated to the skin sits on knees like a hare. She unplugs strawberries from their crowns, looks down a channel of crepe myrtles, fossilized in the sun. Their pink has become her moral imperative, her rot. So I feel like my trajectory is, in terms of geography, is just going further and further south and further deep into something that maybe is like a love poem, but I don't like to categorize these things like that. But this poem is called Marriage Proposal. So, I'm sure you all been to New Orleans. So there are some familiar street names from the French Quarter here. Marriage Proposal. Our confession, New Orleans, Conti Street, feet skating on hosed-down sidewalks if they were iced in the plum twilight. The plasmic sun dilutes the faces of morning pedestrians. They waddle in 2s and 3s and 4s like mallards on green marshy lawns. We're the gold ponies of the carousel, though, foals repeating a bobbing gait affixed to perimeter, charioting the spherical distance, toneless gallops in bronze lame. The men round Pirate Alley, St. Peter's, Bourbon Street, and we align our insecurities with theirs, the fleeting politics of risk, the returns of sons to mothers, the opining men of women. Theirs are the embalming memories, the rosy lucidities that appear when one goes home. As much as our engagement to Mary is our own bas-relief, a confession raised hard in stone, our bodies, consecrated in the waters of this town, become evidence of who we are and where we will never be. Mississippi Sound. The shower of their first floor duplex sputters cold and salty. Biloxi's winter now scallops the young wife's body, and she asks her husband to fix the temperature. She's been in the Gulf and needs to wash off the silty morning. Needs heat to latch. Sunrise, the color of pumpkins, a colic, a basin, an imposition between them. She swims each morning far and far and far, but she returns home to shower. She cannot go beyond the waist-deep water, the semaphores, the permanent distance. Really just a couple of more and I'll let you go. Mississippi Winter. She wants to be a character in a Jack Kerouac novel, a Jaffe rider with hands deep in plush vest pockets, Lucky Strikes squarely tucked away, black sunglasses, hair uncombed. She mimics Kerouac's longing for a destination when she exhales a long gray rope of smoke. In the still, quiet morning by the Spall Pond, near her parents' home, beyond the metallic forest, alluvial earth, and sputtering Mississippi sleet, trees riot in the breeze, and slim steel clouds suture the sky. She orbits the pond like a rickety satellite that's too close to the atmosphere, iced grass crunching as she walks. And she loses a layer of clothes, each circumference. She burns as she closes in on what's left of her own debris. The air of nostalgia. The city clangs in the rain and smog. Each city tree tastes of violence. Bird chatter harpoons the wind, tapers in the alleys. There's a young couple making love in a sedan. There are January tornadoes and grade school safety drills. Students muddle, form lines and file through hallways full with tan steel two-story lockers. The real fury is standing paired and pressed, a gut full of joy. Thank you.